Hello everyone, my name is Gospel Okoro. I'll be presenting a PowerPoint on the effects of air pollution in cold regional states. Air pollution, as the name implies, contains constituents that are harmful to our body. It has been in existence in the early 20th century. The release of human produce such as sulfur and nitrogen compounds in the atmosphere negatively impacts the plants, fish, soil, forest, and some building materials. There is also this impression that healthy people might not be affected from air pollution. However, it is wrong because healthy people can also be at risk with air pollution. So it is important for us to understand what air pollution implies, the effects, the health risk, and also how we can control it. History and components of air pollution. Air pollution occurs when harmful or excessive quantities of substances are introduced into the Earth atmosphere. Such components include the gases like the ammonia, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, methane, and hydrochlorocarbon, particles such as organic and inorganic biological molecules. This usually causes diseases or allergies or even lead to death in humans. There are states that have been identified in our study to be responsible or being affected by air pollution. These states include Montana, Vermont, Wyoming, Minnesota, Maine, North Dakota, and Alaska. Our presentation will be more centered in Vermont, which happens to be this place of jurisdiction, and also looking at how they work together to ensure a clean environment. Moving forward, we know that air pollution contains pollutants. There are certain elements that are responsible. These pollutants include what we call ground level ozone. Ground level ozone is formed when volatile compounds, known as the VOCs, and the oxides of nitrogen react with the sun's ultraviolet rays. The primary source of this VOC is mobile sources such as cars, trucks, buses, construction equipment, or agricultural equipment. Another pollutant is what we call the particulate matter and wildfire smoke. Particulate matter is a complex mixture that contains soot, smoke, metal, nitrates, sulfates, dust, water, and tire rubber. This particle has a size of 2.5, or what we could refer as a fine particulate matter. They mix with the oxygen, with the air, and then bypass the body natural defenses, which goes straight deep to the lungs or potentially the bloodstream. The exposure to such particles can affect the lungs and the heart. This is also applicable to the wildfire smoke. The wildfire smoke generally produces gas like carbon monoxide, which when we inhale it, it also affects the lungs and the heart. The slide next describes about air quality, also known as the ozone level. There are color differences here. The green indicates it is good. The yellow indicates that it's moderate. The brown indicates that it's moderately unhealthy. And the red indicates that it's unhealthy. So this helps us to understand the level of ozone in the community. We have an additional diagram that talks about the trend, especially in Vermont, the air quality. This is measured against the standard. The components, as we mentioned earlier, include ozone, particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and lead. So these constituents of pollutants are measured against the standard quantity, which is generated from the National Air Quality. So you see the lines, the blue, yellow, green, red, and ash color. It indicates the trend in which the air quality, either it improves or decreases from the year 1994 to 2017. Now we'll talk about the effects of these specific pollutants. One of them is that it's high. When it's high in level, it can affect our cardiovascular and respiratory tracts, because resulting to illness. The stress it adds to the heart and lungs makes it harder to supply oxygen. It could damage the cells in the respiratory system. Long-term exposure to the polluted air can have permanent effects such as accelerated aging of the lungs. Furthermore, it can also develop diseases such as asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, and probably could also lead to cancer. In all, this shortens lifespan. The next slide talks about the diagram, how the effects of air pollution on the lungs. When we have good quality of air in the environment, it keeps the lungs healthy in the sense that it has a wide open pathway. However, when the ozones are high and we have a large deposition of that in our body, what it does is that it contracts the muscle, and also the pathway for the air are narrowed and then make breathing difficult. Other effects of air pollution on human include heart diseases like coronary artery disease or congestive heart failure. Individuals that have lung disease such as asthma, emphysema, or COPD, also known as the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Pregnant women can also be affected with high larger concentration of air pollution. Also, individuals that undergoes like outdoor activities, probably construction workers, athletes that run out, older people and elderly, children under the age of 14. These are class of people that we most times find them, spend most of the time outside, maybe as a nature of their work or part of their leisure. So what this implies is that when we live in an environment that is highly concentrated with air pollution, that it could affect this class of individuals. Not to say that staying indoors solves the problem. However, we look forward to having a better improvement, so we can always, get by with activities without fear or risk of being, catching up with the air pollution. The next slide, it talks about the air pollution, how the short-term and long-term effects in human. The short-term effects includes symptoms like headache, eyes inflammation, cough, pneumonia, breathing problems like bronchitis and skin irritation. Whereas the long-term effects centered on one central nervous system, cardiovascular disease, respiratory disease, liver impacts, and reproductive system. Furthermore, we have the short-term effects that we already kind of mentioned in the earlier presentation. But one thing that is notable is there's what we call arrhythmia. Arrhythmia, because of the existence or the exposure to air pollution, is as a result of the concentration of the air pollutants in the body. It slows or causes abnormal heartbeat. This is a short-term effect and it could be diagnosed by use of EKG readouts. The long-term effects of this particulate matter includes decreased lung function, aggravated asthma, chronic respiratory diseases in children. It could also cause coughing or difficulty breathing. Such effects could be non-fatal. It could also be fatal. Like mentioned earlier, the irregular heartbeats. This most times can also lead to premature death in people that have pre-existing condition. How can we control this air pollution? We're looking at specific of the gas pollutants. We have pollutants like hydrocarbons, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, carbon monoxide. This can be controlled either using the methods listed below. Such methods include combustion, absorption using activated charcoal, selective catalytic reduction. There are other methods that can also be applied to control air pollution. We can also control air pollution, maybe in factories or industries, by building a tall chimney. The reason behind is that when you have a tall chimney, the gas emission that is given up, by the time it gets down to the level where we can, we breathe it might have reduced the risk that it may have in our body. We can also think about providing efficient equipment that is smokeless. That can be used in our homes and industries. State of Vermont have adopted the use of energy source like solar energy and wind energy to generate power in their homes and community. Automobiles can be properly maintained and they also can adhere to emission control standards. This is also done in the state of Vermont, making sure that inspections are thorough. We also encourage planting of more trees along the road. What the tree does is that it helps generate more oxygen. And when we have more oxygen, we can be able to produce, that we breathe in. It can also help us to produce more blood, which helps us stay healthy. And also giving us carbon dioxide, we also help the plants to grow or involve in photosynthesis. So the state of Vermont encourages that. Next slide, we're talking about the particulate matter control. We have what we call the mechanical device. This deals with the gravity, and then the gravity, what it does is that particulate matter settles down by the action of gravitational force when it's being removed. We have also the sudden change in the direction of the airflow. It's airflow that brings about the separation of particles, also known as fabric filters. This could be a use of a filter that can be able to separate the gases that are discharged, and this is known as what we call bag filtration. We can also use what we call wet scrubbers. Waste scrubbers tends to trap the sulfur 4 oxide and ammonia, even the metal fumes, by passing the fumes through water. Electrostatic precipitators is also another method of control of particulate matter, and this also induces the electric charge on the particles, and when polluted air contain particulate matter are passed through them. It comes like aerosol, such as smoke, and the oppositely charged electrodes separate them. Now we'll talk about state of Vermont earlier, and then we'll say how does state of Vermont control or manage the excessive emission in their state or the community. This is done by a particular department known as the Department of Environmental Conservation, DEC. Their job is to maintain the air quality by monitoring it. They have a program that measures the ozone, nitrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, and toxic elements. And this air pollution is monitored in 4 different stations. They are located in Underhill, Burlington, Rutland, and Bennington. How can we improve the air quality? This has been a topic of what has been, the Congress has deemed it necessary. That is why they provided or legislated the Act, the Clean Air Act of 1970. And they had the Environmental Protection Agency to be the body that controls or limits the standard of or how much pollutants that could be in the air anywhere in the United States. So the goal of this is to limit the emission of air and ensure that Americans have basic health and environmental protection. The EPA was able to develop a standard by identifying 6 criteria pollutants, such as the carbon monoxide, lead, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ozone, and particulate matter. And the standards were matched against the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. So this helps to protect the public and the environment. Additionally, the CDC, with the Center for Disease and Control, also work closely with the EPA to publish air quality data on the National Environmental Public Health Tracking Network. And this also gives us a better understanding on how air pollution affects our health. In summary, it is necessary for us to understand that although the air we breathe is not free from pollutants or contaminants, motor vehicles, building, heating systems, and other manufacturing equipments can also generate air pollution. It is obvious that our air pollution is affected by emissions. It might be coming from the state or outside the state, which sources such as generating facilities and wildfire. Even sometime in the year where you have harsh weather, it could also generate the possible air pollution in that area. Air pollution affects every one of us, particularly harmful to children, seniors, and those that have pre-existing condition. However, the state of Vermont and the Department of Motor Vehicle have strict guidelines on vehicle inspection and roadworthiness. The state of Vermont ensures that citizens, or they try to encourage citizens to switch to the use of electric cars and LED lights that are energy efficient at home. They encourage also the use of carpool or rideshare, which helps to reduce the amount of flow of automobiles on the road. Indirectly, it also reduces the emission. In the absence of the 3 or 4 mentioned plans, it encourages that you can use the public system, the bus, which is green efficient. You can also use the train, ferry to get by. So this is mostly one of the things I came to realize in State of Vermont, how mindful they are, in trying to control the air pollution. And it's quick to know that they are very mindful of the vehicles they register. Once it's a certain year, like 15 years or more, they don't like to register such vehicles because of the possible emission of gas in the atmosphere. We are left with questions, having seen what is going on in our country today, the COVID-19. Question lies in our mind: what role can citizens play to sustain green environment in the midst of the pandemic COVID-19? How can we encourage independent research for world health problems without being partisan? Can government allow EPA to remain non-political for the good of the people? How do we ensure clean water and healthy environment for all? These and many other questions we ask ourselves, because we know that life is precious to every one of us. But how do we play our part? How do we advise our politicians, our elected leaders, to consider our life, their health? Some of us may or may not have insurance, but we can live in an environment that is devoid of possible illness, and that could also help us stay longer, take care of our family. So if we can honestly ask this question and have an answer, and then be able to communicate with those in elected offices, I believe the body like EPA can do their job without looking at possible losing of job because they are making some scientific facts that are beneficial to mankind, or the World Health Organization trying to do their job, and then there is speculation that they are not being upfront with any possible or pandemic coming down the way. But however, it is not, not to sound that they are, they have blame. But however, when we see what is going on as far as purification of emissions, like oil exploration, automobiles on the road, the engines, the chemicals all over the environment, and we're not taking care of our environment, this can gradually lead to what could be attributed to the surface we are going today. The COVID-19 that is assumed to be airborne. We don't know. So we need to be honest in these questions and then have an answer for that. The slide indicates the references where some of these informations we obtained, and at this point I will yield and thank you for participating in this presentation, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.